And good afternoon from Melbourne in Australia. Just my opinion. My name is Carlos. Another live dedicated to the US. And this is how the rest of the world sees the US and what's going on in the US. I'm going to be laughing, to be honest, but there's certain things that are not a reason to laugh, but it's actually quite funny. Um, how crazy things are in the US. I'm going to share a video of something that normally shows up in Australia. It's a daily thing. It's funny as, even though some of these things are not for laughs, but you know what? At least we don't pay taxes for laughing yet. So I'm going to share my screen with you guys and whoever join me because it's actually quite interesting and funny. And this Rita Panahi, she's a funny journalist. She's like really awesome. It's let me just adjust a couple of things here because I don't want to get in trouble because of the copyrights. But I think if you join me, you'll see. You'll see. I'm already laughing. Why I'm sharing this? Why I'm doing this live? Because this is how the world portrays America nowadays, and yeah, especially in Australia where I live. Even though I'm Portuguese, I immigrated to Australia 23 years ago legally. But whoever joins us, my conversations are with no filters, no censor, free speech. I'll invoke the First Amendment. That doesn't apply in Australia, but because I'm doing this video to the US, I invoke the First Amendment. But yeah, here we go. If you wanna chat, if you wanna make a comment, let's see if we can laugh a little bit with this.
Guys, for what I'm about to show you, but just know this hurts me as much as it's going to hurt you. Let's have a look at Trump deranged Rosie O'Donnell, who has fled the country because of POTUS, but she has returned from Ireland to film this hot mess for Sex and the City spin-off, just like that. Enough talking, let's just dive right in.
It felt so, I don't know, electric, and yet still so natural. I never dreamed my first time could be both those things.
First time?
Mm-hmm.
You were a virgin?
Yes, I'm a nun.
Yes, that was Rosie O'Donnell playing a virgin nun called Mary, who ends up in bed with Miranda Nixon.
This Rosie O'Donnell, she's deranged. This woman completely lost her shit. I'm surprised that she still gets interviews, and this is all the mainstream media. This is all propaganda. This lady, honestly, the amount of shit that comes out of her mouth is not even funny. But I laugh because it's just so crazy, so unbelievable in nowadays society. And this is all this woke mentality, all this stupid mentality. But this is the US nowadays, and I just hope that Trump can fix all these crazy people.
And the worst character on Sex and the City, I think you'll agree. And that show jumped the shark many moons ago. But at least Rosie O'Donnell and Cynthia Nixon could share their deranged hatred of Trump together in between takes. Both are ardent Trump haters and mothers of non-binary or trans children. Remember, Cynthia Nixon boasted about having her daughter's healthy breasts removed. They call it top surgery.
My trans kid had his top surgery at NYU a number of years ago.
Wow. This is fucking retarded.
His doctors were fantastic. His surgeon was the best we could have imagined.
It's time to...
This is delusional. Yesterday I heard a doctor, not someone like me with no studies, no uni studies, no pretending that I'm something that I'm not, a doctor, saying that kids from the age of 8 can start taking pills to control their hormones and all this stuff if they're a boy and want to be a girl, so they don't develop X or Y chromosomes, whatever this is. Crazy. an 8-year-old can start. I can't remember the name now, but an 8-year-old can start taking these pills. Since when does an 8-year-old know what they want? Other than whinge about, I want this, I want that, I want this. They have no idea. And this woman was defending, this was on the Piers Morgan Uncensored channel. Since when an 8-year-old, a 10, a 12, the human brain doesn't complete develop till the age of 25. What the fuck is wrong with these people? These people is crazy. These people is crazy. Totally crazy. It's unbelievable. Totally unbelievable. I don't even want to believe that this exists, but the fact is it does exist.
Time to check in with Joe Biden. The former president has his good days and he has his bad days,
Joe
but
Biden.
every day is a delusional day. Listen to this.
And there's also been a lot of discussion recently about your mental and physical capabilities while you were in office.
You can see that. I'm mentally incompetent and I can't walk and I can beat the hell out of both of them.
Do you want to reply to any of those reports, and also to the fact that there are some Democrats who are now questioning whether you should have run for re-election in the first place?
Why didn't they run against me then? Because I'd have beaten them.
Do you have any
What the fuck did he just say?
regrets?
No, I don't have any regrets.
Now, Elon Musk has had enough of his fellow billionaires talking trash. Listen here as he gives Bill Gates an almighty spray. After Gates made all sorts of unfounded claims about USAID, he starts by calling Gates a liar.
He's a huge liar.
I know you've said that already.
That's
I wondered,
also,
and I'm just.
Who does Bill Gates think he is to make comments about the welfare of children, given that he frequented Jeffrey Epstein?
Okay, well,
Whoa!
he said he regrets those, and he spent a lot of his own money on philanthropy around.
How is this woman defending that? With he spent a lot of his money in philanthropy because of children. He spent time with a fucking pedophile.
Around the world over the years.
Bill Gates is the worst. Bill Clinton. All these famous people going to Jeff Epstein private island in his private fucking airplanes, private jets. And this woman still tried to defend him? Well done, Elon Musk.
My question to you is, have you looked at the data to check if he might be right that the cuts to USAID might cost millions of lives?
Yes. I'd like him to show us any evidence whatsoever.
None whatsoever. And Bono, you know him from U2, he was making the same BS claims on Joe Rogan, and Rogan was not having it.
Just a recent report. It's not proven, but the surveillance enough suggests 300,000 people have already died from just this cut off, this hard cut of USAID.
The problem is,
this is a fucking lie. This is just a lie. How is this people? How can they lie without laughing? 300,000 people. This is a blunt lie, and the problem is people are going to hear this and they're going to believe this bullshit.
for sure, there have been a lot of organizations that do tremendous good all throughout the world. Also, for sure, it was a money laundering operation. For sure, there was no oversight. For sure, billions of dollars are missing. In fact, trillions that are unaccounted for, that were sent off into various, they don't even know where because there's no receipts. The way Elon Musk described it, he said if any of this was done by a public company, the company would be delisted and the executives would be in prison. But in the United States, this is standard. When Biden left office, when it was clear that Trump won, in the 73 days, they spent $93 billion from the Department of Energy on
where's the fucking money?
Just radical loans, just throwing money into places.
Right.
And there's no oversight.
Well, folks, it's June, and that
Sucked
means
in.
it's Pride Month, and they started celebrating early in West Hollywood. Not sure that's suitable for young kids in the audience there, but it's not just the public nudity, it's the corporate virtue signalling we're going to see in the coming weeks. Yes, a whole month of far-left foolishness, but for some, it's never enough. Watch this, Karen, whine about Target getting rid of their LGBTQIA++ display and replacing it with a pro-American one.
Happy Pride Month. In my Target that used to have the Pride section, it's now all USA. Yay.
We're
USA.
on Target.
Woo. And honestly, my dad served in the military, and I'd love to be really proud of this nation, but it's hard to be proud of it under Donald Trump.
You need the plastic surgery, lady.
Pick up a USA bikini. You know, why not?
You're disgusting.
Yeah, Target's really taken this anti-DEI thing to another level.
Oh dear, God forbid anyone should have pride in their country. I'm sure your granddad risked his life so Target could sell breast binders to young girls. Let's bring in Sky News contributor Kosha Gator. Kosha, there's been a cultural shift in the US. It's undoubted. And are we going to see things like Pride Month marked differently from the corporate world? Are we going to have the same sort of activism and enthusiasm as we have seen in previous years?
Seemingly not. It looks like we have finally broken the camel's back on this issue. It almost descended as quickly, you blink and you missed it as it ascended just in the last 5 years. And you see, the Silicon Valley titans and the high finance people and cultural icons all coming out and endorsing Trump in this election. Everything sort of trickles down from that, I think. And you haven't seen mass backlash or young people rioting and leaving their high-paying Silicon Valley jobs or New York jobs or anything like that. And you don't see corporations putting the little black square or the little rainbow square on their LinkedIn profiles. So maybe we are past the worst, dare I say.
I think the corporates are seeing there is actually a price to pay, and it's probably a bit more clever to be apolitical and not alienate at least a portion of your customer base, a significant portion. And I think USAID really exposed just how much of this far-left activism, this far-left movement was funded unwittingly by taxpayers. It wasn't just some organic grassroots movement.
That's been one of so many examples of just...
I apologize, but whoever's going to watch this video later, I apologize in advance. But this is actually quite shocking. How do American taxpayers, how so many millions, agree with this circus, with this clown show? I'm not racist, I'm not xenophobe or xenophobe, I'm not fascist, I'm not nothing at all. I've said it before. I have proudly friends of color, and I don't say the color because, oh, you're being racist. So I have friends of color, I have homosexual friends, lesbian friends, no problems at all, But why the fuck do we need to celebrate 1 month? Why do they have a flag? Where's my flag as a man? Where's my month as a man? And after the bullshit, oh, you asking for white privilege. What the fuck white privilege? My color, I'm fucking olive color, even though where I live now, like if anything, I'm losing my color. I need the summer to get burnt again, to get some color. What the fuck white privilege bullshit? These minorities, this is where the privilege comes. And the problem is Democrats in the US, Labour Party here in Australia, they listen to the minorities. That's why society, it's turned upside down. That's why the minorities are the ones getting away with everything. I'm not going to say murder because that's a saying, you get away with murder, but they're getting away with everything. They fucking complain about everything. They whinge about everything. And you know what? Governments just go like, oh, what do you need now? How much do you need? And that's why now, Elon Musk is the demon. He's a Nazi. Why? Because he's stopping all this shit. He's finding where the money is going, and everything he can find is corruption. $93 billion in 93 days before Trump took the presidency of the US. The Democrats, Joe Biden, I don't know if it was Joe Biden because his faculties, as we know, and I feel sorry for him, his situation with cancer, but Kamala Harris, that shit for brains woman, $93 billion given away like it's paper, with millions of Americans living on the streets, millions of Americans without health care, millions of Americans on the verge of starvation, if not already on starvation. And they give money for this fucking bullshit. And there's Americans that defend this. You should be ashamed. You should be embarrassed. You have no dignity. You have no integrity. You are a disgrace to your own country, to your own people, if you can still defend this bullshit.
So just as much as we know what's going on in the culture, there's so much more. And when you think you've got the whole picture, there's yet more that we don't know. And USAID was about $50 billion a year in spending. That's like $1 billion a week. It's not a small amount. And even worse, as you say, because more than the money and the wastage financially, what it was doing domestically and all around the world. And it's completely been gutted. 90% of contracts have been terminated. Yes, it was challenged in court. There are a few challenges still working its way up. But by and large, this organization has been fundamentally changed. And I think everybody is for the better. And maybe we can do something with that taxpayer money.
Yeah. People's eyes have been opened, even those of us who are very engaged in this space. I was shocked by the money that was being spent, taxpayers' money all around the world, pushing this far-left activism. Bizarre use of taxpayers' money. And whilst we're talking about USAID, Elon Musk, the man who was responsible for cutting so much of that waste and fraud, well, he had some parting words for members of the media, pointing out that they are the ones responsible for so many of the slings and arrows that have come his way, and they are discredited.
The president mentioned that you had to deal with all the slings and arrows during your time at Doge. There's this.
Well, some of the people, some of the media organizations in this room were the slingers.
Well, so there is a New York Times report today that accuses you of blurring the line.
Mainstream media, I am of the opinion, mainstream media, or any media, full stop. If you lie, if everything you're doing is propaganda because you have a preferred party like MSNBC, CNN, ABC, CBS, all this bullshit, and on the other hand, Fox, for instance, that they are more Republicans, or actually they go for the Republicans. If you lie, should be something in the U.S. Constitution to go like, proven that you lie. There should be, it is not money. Someone should be arrested. Someone should be silent. I understand the First Amendment and the right of free speech, but free speech is a very beautiful thing. If you don't lie, if you tell the truth. I keep saying, and I've said this on many of my Portuguese videos to my patriots, to my countrymen back home in Portugal. This bullshit about, you need to look at people's feelings. Yeah, it's all good with people's feelings, but for as long as there's facts and truth, feelings mean nothing. Feelings mean absolutely nothing when there's facts and truth. And for as long as people keep going, people's feelings, this bullshit's not going to end. I tell you, this is not going to end. And I hope that Trump, he already started. I like Trump. I don't agree with everything that Trump says, particularly the tariffs. The tariffs should have been applied to China only. China, the way they have their economy, it's corrupt, but unfortunately it is the way it is. But he decided to go against the entire world with tariffs. And I understand that because everyone gets something from the US, and I understand he's fed up with this bullshit. But I think the target should have been China. China has been for 15, 20, 30 years manipulating the economy, printing money. No one really knows what's going on there. I think the tariffs against China, they should be actually higher than what he's proposing. But when it comes to the rest of the world, to their allies, I think Trump should have had a little bit more consideration. So I'm totally against him on that. Totally in favor of deportation of illegal immigrants. I have the same opinion about what's going on in Portugal with illegal immigrants, where Portugal is allowing illegal immigrants to actually become legal in the country, to go legalize their situation in the country. I don't agree with any of that bullshit. You get in the country illegally, you should be kicked out, back to your country. Do it legally. Do it the way I did when I came to Australia. I know what I went through to come to Australia legally. So I have a very, very short tolerance for this bullshit. Oh, the immigrants, whatever. Fuck that. Human rights, fuck that. I'm sorry. I understand that people have difficulties, but there's ways to do it. They want the status of refugee. There's ways to do it legally. Go to a UN center, claim your status as a refugee. They'll give you food. They'll give you a bed. They'll give you a place to stay until after a vacancy opens somewhere in the world, to a country that it's trusted, and you go to that country. You just don't walk in a country illegally expecting that you're going to be given all the rights, or even more rights than the people of the country, the people that give their lives for the country, and have to try to impose your ideologies and your bullshit. And the proof of what I'm saying is what just happened on Saturday in Colorado. It's a disgrace. And there's only two channels to blame this. The Democrats, they are the ones that drive the woke culture, and the mainstream media. They are the two channels for this shit to be happening. No one else to blame.
Is the New York Times, is that the same publication that got a Pulitzer Prize for false reporting on the Russiagate? Is it the same organization?
I got to check my Pulitzer count.
It is. I think the judge just ruled against New York Times for their lies about the Russiagate hoax, and that they might have to give back that Pulitzer Prize. That New York Times, let's move on.
And we've seen this from the Trump administration across the board almost, whether it's Hegseth, whether it's Rubio, Musk there, who isn't a politician, but he had a fairly significant role. They are just hitting back the media hard. They've taken on Trump's attitude towards the media, and you've got to say it's pretty effective.
For sure. It's not your grandmother's Republican Party, as they say. And this whole group, starting with Trump, leading, he really showed people how to fight. And when things go as bad as they've gone, you're kind of past nice manners and niceties and all those things we saw from John McCain and Mitt Romney and even Ronald Reagan. It was just a different world that we're living in. And here you've got to be willing to roll up your sleeves and fight. And they kind of relish it. So it's not everybody's cup of tea. You always run into people who don't like it or wish the demeanor would be different, but I think it's very effective, and a lot of people actually really do like it.
If they want to go back to the GOP of Mitt Romney or McCain, well, good luck to them, because that's the GOP of losers, and those days are over. the voters have no appetite for that, so never mind whether Trump's there or not. The voters don't want that. They don't want to have polite losers. Now, we saw the way the media treated Elon Musk after his salute from the heart. They were calling him a Nazi, saying he was doing some sort of a Heil Hitler salute, which was just so dishonest. Well, Democrat Cory Booker did something, pretty much exactly the same in the last couple of days, and there was no condemnation, no accusations. Many didn't even report on it. And Kosha, I guess this goes to the point of why they feel like the media deserves to be treated with disdain, because it's just discredited itself.
Time and again, and when you think they can't sink any lower, you see these examples. And it's not even about hypocrisy, it's about hierarchy. So Cory Booker, you see, is higher in the totem pole, where he gets extra protections that the other side doesn't. There's many people who've done this. And I think the good thing is that media has been democratized because of the internet and social media, that these clips do get out there, other programs like yours and just social media covers it, and that just further delegitimizes the mainstream media unless they wise up to that, but they don't seem to be doing it thus far.
And sticking with the media, yesterday we had CNN claiming that the Colorado terror attack was carried out by a white man, and here we have NBC going to great lengths not to use the words like Jews or even pro-Israel, calling the victims of the attack Gaza hostage awareness marches. I mean, really kosher.
If the backdrop wasn't as
these
tragic,
people,
it's almost funny. And they
Honestly,
really are
they didn't learn anything.
The kings and queens of linguistics. They always have been. So you have the Gaza awareness marchers. You had the Maryland Dad, that famous case. And even back in during then President Obama and Hillary Clinton's, I'm reminded of the story of the terrorist attack in Colombo, Sri Lanka, on Easter Sunday. And both of them referred to them as Easter worshippers because they couldn't use the word Christians on Easter Sunday. So they're very aware of words and which words they use, which words they don't use. But again, to your point earlier, in this day and age of just podcasts and media and social media, we all are discussing it and seeing right through it. So I just think it's a losing strategy, but they seem to be addicted to it.
Now, in recent weeks, we've had a governor's house firebombed. We've had 2 Israeli embassy workers murdered in cold blood. And now this attack in Colorado, several pro-Israel protesters set alight, badly hurt. If there was a right-wing group or movement behind these sorts of attacks, it would be leading news coverage all around the world. It would all be as such a crisis that needs to be addressed. But it seems like we've got a fairly permissive attitude when it comes to violence from the left. We saw that throughout the BLM riots, and we're seeing it again with this anti-Israeli movement.
It feels like it's a next dimension on this continuum where we talked at the top about culture and the culture is shifting and corporates aren't virtue signaling as much. Then we've talked about the media losing its potency and legitimacy because we can all see through their games. And now this is where it gets really serious, where it's actual violence taking place. And that double standard, again, still continues. And as you say, BLM or even the Antifa riots before that in Portland and elsewhere. So this feels like the last frontier if the right can somehow crack this and just reclaim the narrative around that, which they're doing, the current administration, in terms of their law and order agenda. That will be another big win in this continuum that we're on.
And we see that everywhere. There was Antifa, you mentioned. There was some violence in California where they were there to protest against, I think, some Christians who were gathering. And we see it right here in Australia when we have the Let Women Speak marches. And there's always some sort of a counter-protest because they're not allowed to speak without the far-left activists disrupting them. On Colorado, there's been a lot of commentary in the past 24 hours about this image summing up the modern Democrat Party. Let's have a look at it.
Look at the flag.
Krisha, what do you say to this? There's a lot happening in that picture.
Oh my goodness, I could say modern Democrat Party in an AI simulator, and I don't think it would come out very different from that. You've got the flag in the background, it's like perfectly framed in the middle. You have this violent person and it's the heinous acts he committed. He's shirtless, he's not in particularly good shape, he's an illegal immigrant, throwing a Molotov cocktail, and I think it does sum it up, everything we just talked about, the cultural virtue signaling, the way the media is covering it, and then the violence from the left that's been getting away, but not for long. We'll see what's going to happen. Some judge is likely going to block his deportation, but cases like this only help the cause politically on the other side because these are not sympathetic figures.
And Trump's made that point. The Mohammed Solomon, the alleged attacker there, is an Egyptian national in the US illegally. He's overstayed his visa, entered the US during the Biden administration, sought asylum in 2022, was granted the right to work. Is the Biden administration in any way to blame for this? They let millions through, unvetted, and you're going to get characters
100%,
like this.
100%.
100%. I think this really personifies what we know.
I haven't seen this video prior, so just so
ridiculous 11
you guys know when you watch it later.
Allowed to pour in through 4 years. And then the particulars of this case where he was caught even by the ICE agents in the Biden administration, but was let go because that was the policy, catch and release. And then he was rewarded with legal work access, even though he overstayed his visa. So you're just creating magnets and rewarding. So every issue that we talk about all gets personified in this case. And then he goes and does what he did. So it really just puts a huge red line, I think, under this issue in a way that had never happened before. And hopefully the current administration can take advantage of that momentum and do something about it.
Now, before you go, we talked about that cultural shift across the US. Let's have a look at another example of that. This is something we wouldn't have seen a few years ago, certainly wouldn't have seen it in Trump's first term. Watch here as football legends and current Pittsburgh Steelers stars pay tribute to Donald Trump in Pennsylvania.
I'd like to present this to a Hall of Fame president. Please accept it.
How about this president of ours, huh? Just wanted to say God bless you, President Trump, and God bless you, Pittsburgh.
Now, that was Pittsburgh Steelers legend and Vietnam War vet Rocky Blair and current quarterback Mason Rudolph and defensive back Miles Killebrew. I mean, that is something we wouldn't have seen, Kosha, just a few years ago. Those players, current players, would have been cancelled. There would have been all sorts of uproar. No one really was bothered by any of that. I didn't see too much backlash at all.
So true. You know, there's that old adage, I think, attributed to Andrew Breitbart, that politics is downstream from culture. Every once in a while, in a case like Donald Trump, who's very unique, it almost feels like culture is downstream from politics. And just his whole story, even before politics and since then, the comeback, being the underdog, being counted out and coming, is like classic American stuff. Everybody loves that story, even though they've been trained not to admit it. And this carries a lot of weight when you have NFL stars and Hall of Fame legends
100%.
doing that. The other piece, too, is since it's the Steelers, Pittsburgh, that is a key constituency of Trump. Pennsylvania, and particularly that town, the Steelers and Miners, didn't go to Republicans since Ronald Reagan, 40 years. And he, in both terms, turned that around. And I think that's sort of the other piece of it. And the Steelers, of course, exemplify that part of his constituency.
Kosha Gator, thanks for your time tonight.
And that is all from me. My name is Carlos. My channel is Just My Opinion. If you like this sort of content, please subscribe, click like, make a comment, watch the shorts. I'm really enjoying doing this. Unfortunately, I think that the time zones are a little bit different from where I am. From where I am in Melbourne, in Australia, I think it's a little bit of a clash with the time zones in the US. For instance, let me see, New York is now 11:15. Los Angeles, it's 8:15. But if you like this content, if you subscribe, doesn't cost you anything. If you click like, if you make a comment, I get YouTube to promote my videos more. I want to grow. I want to be able to do more of this to all of you. I'm lucky, and I thank all the Americans that have watched my videos, that click like already. Unfortunately, not that many subscribed. I'm a very small YouTuber. I started this 5 weeks ago, but I thank you all from the bottom of my heart. I love America. I think America has so much to offer. And I hope that Donald Trump will change things around, and the next president of the US, I already said it, and mark my words, will be J.D. Vance. The Democrats will not be able to put their shit together, to be honest. So I do appreciate the ones that are going to watch my videos a little bit later on. I really do thank you a lot. So, yep, I'm done for today. I'll try to do another one tomorrow. So it's now 33 minutes and 43 seconds doing this live. I hope you enjoy me sharing what the world thinks about the woke mentality in the US. I wish you all the best. Stay well. Keep safe. And, João, eu falo contigo bocado mais logo. Eu tenho que ir porque são horas de trabalho para mim. Por isso, grande abraço. Thank you very much, everyone.